I personally believe that if you use this framework every single time, regardless of how good you get, regardless of how much you struggle, regardless of if you've been in the business for 10 years or 20 years, to consistently have success, you need to follow a framework. It allows you to stay on or near the path, or when you veer off, it's going to happen. It can literally bring you back in to make sure we're understanding and walking through the entire process.
Hey, everybody. In this week's podcast episode with the Life Insurance Academy, we've decided to take a few minutes to talk about probably the biggest demand topic questions that we get by far, bar none. It is the single biggest topic of questions, support, resources, everything surrounds this, and that is, what do I need to be successful in life telesales? What do I need to become successful in selling life insurance over the phone? And today I'm in studio with Zach.
Yes, sir.
My main man, Zach. Chris is out on sabbatical somewhere today. I'm not sure exactly.
We just didn't invite him.
Oh, we just didn't invite him. And Zach and I are going to be hitting some of this content. Success in telesales often hinges on a combination of skills, techniques, strategies, your environment. So there's some key components to this. And so we're going to break down what we feel are like 6, 7 of the top things you need for success in telesales. Zach, what you got? What are we bringing off the top of the list for the listeners today, man?
I love this topic, and I think it's so important because there's also so much noise out there when it comes to telesales, and any new agent builds that anxiety and fear up. We know that's a key factor. It's actually one of the biggest things that we address in our telesales boot camps when we're sitting down with people is step one is to show up, right? And is to overcome that fear. But with all that noise and everything that's out there, it really crowds people. So these 7 steps that we want to go through is really to simplify things for you guys, right? It's to help show you, teach you, and walk through. If you follow these simple 7 steps, we're going to be in good shape. And the first one I have for you, Roger, it may sound silly, but you don't know how many times that actually we just did a boot camp and people lost sales because of this. And they got all the way down to the end and couldn't close because of this one reason. The first one is understanding your products and service. And when we talk about understanding your products and service, it goes so deep. Number one is understanding why life insurance matters, right? What benefit is going to cost, whether you're in mortgage protection or if you're in the final expense market, understanding why those clients need it, what benefit it does it have, so you have an internal belief of what that is in the positive change and cause you're having for generations to come, number one. In addition to understanding your products, know the carriers that you're going to write with, know how to log into their portal, know how to start the e-app,
know how to underwrite it.
Know how to underwrite it, know how to, click through for the first time, which sounds crazy, but know your products. And then the service side of that is not only is it important to truly understand the products and the meaning behind it and why we do what we do and having that internal belief, but understanding how we are difference makers, how we come into their life to help educate, to help teach them, and to help guide them and move them in a positive direction to put a plan in place to protect the family. Understanding that this is the difference in the time we're taking to make a difference in their life, but also we have to remember that everybody we talk to is going to pass away.
Including us.
Including us, right? Including us. But are we able to really help them understand that we're here to answer questions for you today. We're here to educate you and guide you through that. And on the worst day of your daughter, son, or whoever that beneficiary might be on their life, that we're also going to be there to hold their hand and walk them through the process, and that you have somebody you can trust to see this all the way through.
Zach, I got a question for you on this one. Understanding your products and services, that sometimes can sound overwhelming because it has to do with understanding the actual carrier, then their product lineup, because some carriers have multiple products in the lineup. But then also how many carriers and how many products do they need to know? What do you recommend for someone new getting into the business or trying to get focused on this to be successful? What's the right number of carriers that they should specialize in when they're first getting started?
I would say 4. 4 is a right number. And that's not a right or wrong, but in my mind, I want things to be simple. I mean, for years, Roger, I wrote maybe 3 carriers for years.
Yes, me too.
And I was fairly successful at doing it. I would have probably 1 or 2 go-to carriers that I'm going to write most often, and that also pay me a really good comp, and they also really take care of the client as far as benefits and as far as pricing goes, and also maybe has a couple product variations for a couple other products that maybe they offer if I'm going to, pivot, if you will, because of underwriting, or maybe I'm taking care of multiple needs in the home. So I'll probably have 2 main go-to carriers.
Will those carriers also have some variation in the type of underwriting and like health impairments that they would they would accept?
Probably slight, not really. The third one is going to be it's going to be a carrier that I don't necessarily lead with every time, but it's going to be the one that covers my biggest health and most common health impairments that take me out of the main one. So it could be like a COPD client. It could be a diabetic neuropathy client. It could be one of those common but borderline clients. So that will be probably my niche product right there. And then the fourth one will be my guaranteed issue product that I'm able to really help a client put in place and really take care of. My 2 main ones, one of the biggest differences might be, because it's not really a big underwriting issue, the biggest difference between my 2 main ones, in my mind, would be it would be slight underwriting, but product offering across the platform, but also different payment options. Because we do run into, nowadays people pay with, Venmo, they pay with Green Dot Bank, they pay with Direct Express cards. So being able to be flexible. And I'm
assuming you're speaking mostly about seniors when you're talking about this.
Yeah, in the final expense market, So I think you could do a lot of damage with 4.
And also, I would think that on the MP side, if you're in the mortgage protection side, you would have a couple of variations of simplified issue carriers, again, that are easy to underwrite, easy to place, so you can get them all done in one call close, right? But they have living benefits attached.
Yep.
And how robust is that product? When you said product offerings or what they offer the client, that would be some of the things you're talking about, is the additional living benefits and things like that are available to your client that's bundled into the price that actually makes that product more attractive than just being a death benefit. In fact, a lot of people sell on the living benefits, not the death benefit in that case with mortgage protection.
Also, in that mortgage protection market, I'm going to also have another product. It's going to be my more stripped down basic price, depending on if my client's more price sensitive. I have an option for those clients as well.
Yeah, so a lower price product that may not have all the additional bells and whistles, but it's a price buster.
Absolutely.
Like it's super competitive on pricing. Yep. So hope that makes sense. Products and services, I mean, that is one of the biggest things I think people get hung up on because they think they have,
you got to believe in it, right?
They think they need to have 10, 12, 15 carriers or they can't compete or they can't offer, and that's just not the case. It's not the case.
Big caution here though. Big caution light going off. Don't get paralysis by analysis. Do not I have to understand my products and services. I have to read every disclosure. I have to go through and know them front and back and fill out the application 50 test times before I go out and try it. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm also not saying don't get a client on the phone and go all the way through the process since the first time you're opening the app and you don't even know how to log in or where your credentials are.
Yeah.
So there's a middle ground, right?
Yeah. And if you're using a third-party software like Insurance Toolkits for underwriting, you need to know how to get those products and those carriers into Insurance Toolkits so you can actually do underwriting on several carriers at the same time, especially if you're new. That helps go a long, long way. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use discount code LIA at checkout at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-licensed training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
We want to move to the next one on our list because these 7 are so cool, and we want to have a little discussion time about them. But what do we have next, Roger?
I would say next, one of the things that we consolidated on was knowing your audience. And I think this is where a lot of agents, they don't give it enough attention. Zach alluded to it on the very front end. You alluded to this. You said know your client and how the product benefits them, right? And that has to do maybe with living benefits or maybe the nursing home rider or terminal illness benefit, that sort of things that are built into some of these products. But more so than that, you need to know your client. So like, for instance, in the mortgage protection space, knowing the client's average age, knowing when the market is hot, knowing interest rates affect that, knowing that it's typically people who have just acquired a home or refinanced a home. They typically have some children. They got lots of bills. They're oftentimes dual income families. They both work jobs. They're concerned about Little League. They're concerned about keeping their home. Like there's certain fundamentals that you just need to know of who that audience is and what is their motivator in putting that policy in place. It's not just about a death benefit. If you're only speaking about a death benefit when you talk to them, you're missing the boat. That speaks to knowing your audience. With final expense, it's knowing that they're on a fixed budget, a very fixed budget. So to say something stupid like, hey, when do you want your payment to come out each month? They look at you and, well, what do you mean come out? And now all of a sudden you're having a conversation about pre-authorized debits coming out of their bank account, and they're nervous about that because they don't like the idea of anyone getting into their bank account and doing automatic withdrawals. Even the language you use there is sensitive because they're preconditioned to people taking advantage of them, not understanding modern banking because of their age, all these sort of things. Like you and I are very, very comfortable with online banking. You say that to a senior sometimes, and they're like very uncomfortable with that or giving away that information. I would say the second part of the senior consideration in the senior market is knowing that they get a fixed amount and it's paid on the same dang day every month, and it has to do with when their Social Security deposit hits. And if 80% of your clients are like that, and only 20% of them have a pension above their Social Security, that Social Security payment is crucial. So if you're setting it up for the 15th, but they get their deposit on the 3rd of the month or one of these special Wednesdays that Social Security deposits, well, that impacts whether the money's going to be there when they process the payment for the premium. And if you're not aware of that just because you're oblivious because you think everyone is like you, you're going to miss the mark with that. So knowing your clients, knowing that they do care about their family, they're on a fixed budget. You need to be more price sensitive to those individuals. Less price sensitive to the mortgage protection client, more price sensitive to the senior. And each one of them has, nuances inside of it, but generally knowing your client base is really going to help you be effective in sales.
It's a lot simpler, right? All it has to do is put yourself in their shoes, put yourself in their living situation, have that job they've had mentally for the last 30 years, who is their identity, and what would your pain points be? What would your worries be? What would your struggles be, right? Because that senior market, low income, that's had that little harder upbringing and kind of struggle a little bit more, they're going to hold on to certain aspects a little bit tighter. They're going to have certain trust issues, right? If we put ourselves in their shoes, same with the other client that is running all over the world, taking their kids to baseball practice, soccer practice, like understand their pain points, what's going on in their everyday life and their stress. The more we understand what they're dealing with, the more we'll understand what the objections could possibly be, but where their stress comes out, but also what would bring them peace of mind. If we can pre-plan all of that, understand where their pain points are, where those objections are going to come from, and have answers and solutions to those problems before the client brings it up, that's what we're talking about here. Understand how they live, how they think, and how they operate.
It's understanding your audience, your demographic, and who you're trying to serve, what their pain points are. It gives you a strong, strong leg up. All right. Let's go to number 3, man. We're on the countdown list here to 7. What's number 3?
Number 3 is my favorite number, by the way. It's my basketball number, so I love number 3. It's always 3. But number 3 is develop a strong script, right? This is our framework. This is everything. This is our guardrails. This is our bumpers when we go bowling, so you shouldn't get any gutter balls, right? This is everything you want it to be. This is the training wheels before you learn how to ride. But more importantly, guys, when you have a framework in what we do, it will take you everywhere you need to go. And I personally believe that if you use this framework every single time, regardless of how good you get, regardless of how much you struggle, regardless of if you've been in the business for 10 years or 20 years, to consistently have success, you need to follow a framework. If you're in the field, typically it's a flip chart presentation that walks you and the client together all the way through that. If you're on telesales, it allows you to stay on or near the path, or when you veer off, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. When you veer off the path, it can literally bring you back in to make sure we're understanding and walking through the entire process. It's our checklist. It's our checklist to take flight. And
pilots call that standard operating procedures, and they just move through that process.
Absolutely.
And they walk down through their checklist, and that way they minimize fatalities and minimize issues.
Yeah, and the important thing is once you have a framework built around this, and our framework, our scripts that we have, that we train, that we teach at our telesales boot camps, which, by the way, are absolutely incredible experience, not only for us as teachers and coaches, but for our attendees and new agents everywhere, because a lot of times this is the first time they've ever used a script, and it's amazed when it works, right? And it's simple. Our framework is belief, it's trust, it's stakes, it's options, and it's solutions. And when we walk the clients through that, when we understand that, yes, we add the meat to it. Yes, there's other things. Our script isn't, 5 words. But when we go through that, we always want to address and make sure we're moving through and finding everything we need to find out inside of this framework. And it will always lead us to a positive solution in this situation.
Yeah. When you know your framework, even if you get off script a little bit, you know what you're trying to accomplish. You don't have to have the perfect script anymore. Like a lot of new agents, I see them get frozen trying to read their script, and they're trying to remember what the next sentence is. And if their computer freezes up or they can't scroll because there's another window in front of it, they lose themselves. When in fact, really what you're trying to do is operate inside of that framework. Am I building trust here? Okay, so in trust, what am I trying to accomplish? Regardless of what your script says, and scripts are vitally crucial to your success, but what is the purpose of the script here? It's to establish trust. Well, how do we do that? There's a couple ways we do that. And we teach all that inside of our boot camp.
But a common mistake that happens when people have a framework or trust, but they're not, religious to it. There could be a situation where on the phone, the client's like, oh yeah, I need insurance, or I know about insurance. I already understand. I need whole life. Can you tell me about this? And there will literally be people giving prices 9 minutes into the call. And then they're confused.
They've abandoned the framework, and then they get confused.
And then they're confused of why it doesn't close, right? We can't get over our skis, and agents do that all the time. They get over their skis, they get overexcited, or they move through. And if we just stick to the framework, guys, it will work. And I promise you, you will knock them pins down. You may not be a strike every time with, $150 a month policy, but the important thing is we're making a difference and we're moving a client to a better position. So follow the framework, get you a script, build a script that you stay religious to.
Or acquire a script. And we have scripts.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
All right, let's move to number 4 here.
Number 4, build rapport quickly. Build rapport quickly. Zach, when you and I went out on that very first day selling final expense life insurance 10 years ago? 10 years ago, man. Holy cow. That's why my hair is white, everybody. I looked at myself in the screenshot up today. I said, I look like Gandalf the gray in here, or Gandalf the white. I don't know which one it is. Zach said I need to have long hair.
Hold still so Adam can transform you.
All right.
Trying to help you.
All right, there we go. So, but anyway, like that time flew by. But when we showed up at those people's homes, your goal, and I told you your goal is we used an acronym. Mm-hmm. We still use it to this day called CORE. And CORE is simply a way of establishing rapport with the client: children, occupation, recreation, emotion.
Yep.
Why they requested information and why they need it. Yep. That got us engaged with the things that were important to them. So building rapport quickly is super important. Now, if you're over the phone, you don't have the benefit of working with this, according to Chris. You only can do it with your voice. So how do you build rapport quickly? You have to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with what you're talking about. You have to be comfortable with your products. And you have to be comfortable with your script and your framework. If you're comfortable with those 4 things, like, a lot of the pressure's off. Now you can be a human and connect to another human on the other end of the phone.
Those things affect your demeanor.
100%.
It affects your attitude. It affects your whole energy that you give off. And like you said, being genuine, being confident, being calm. Mm-hmm. Again, going back to our market and our audience that we're talking to, how are they naturally going to feel when somebody calls them that they're not expecting or shows up at their home that they're not expecting? Mm-hmm. Maybe we can counteract that a little bit. And that's the whole thing. But earning the right, I always say earning the right to speak to them longer than that first 15 seconds.
Yeah. And it often it goes back to this trust piece in our framework. And we talk about trust is established in 2 ways. Number 1, with authority, and number 2, with empathy. Authority, knowing who you are, why you're qualified, why you're the most qualified. You may not be the best qualified, but you're the most qualified on that call. Knowing your products, and speaking like you've done this before. Like, at least pretend you've been there before. Yeah. And have a conversation with them that matters, because your confidence, your ease of tone, if something like we always said, things are not a big deal unless you make them a big deal. So even if you get thrown curveball questions or things like that at the front end, if you just stay the course, stay on track, be you, be genuine, connect up front first, it's not getting into these rabbit hole conversations about the weirdest thing ever, but it's also not being so transactional. You sound like a telesales telemarketer.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be that person. You want to be a real human connecting to another real human. Build rapport quickly, use friendly language, show genuine interest, and find common grounds to build trust. All right, number 5, man. What do we got? Number 5
is going to be listen actively. And this one's extremely important. So if you guys are writing these down, put a star by it, okay? There's so many calls that I've listened to. There's so many homes I've set into. And one of the biggest mistakes that new agents make, what really takes agents from, getting on their feet to just great, is their ability to talk less and listen more. And the way you can do that is, by paying really close attention to what the client is saying, but maybe what they're trying to say, but they can't get the words out. So when you see or hear their tone change, when you talk about emotion and it's on the tip of their tongue, or we're asking a question and you can get that sense that they're ready to tell you more about it, but we haven't invited them or made the environment comfortable enough for them to actually talk more. Mm-hmm. And us not listening enough as agents, we make a lot of mistakes of not asking the follow-up question to our previous question. And that will unlock everything for your client and allowed you to continue to build that trust and relationship that we just talked about in number 4. But it gives them a platform to voice their concerns so we can talk about their needs, so we can really work through everything. The key here is to ask really good questions and really good follow-up questions. And if your calls with your clients, since this is telesales, if your client isn't talking at least half the time, you may be in trouble a little bit. And there's calls where the client, all you hear is, yep, I understand, yep, and the whole time. And the agent is just wearing themselves out all the way to the end.
And the client.
and the client. But being able to really be a really good active listener is key to your success in telesales. Moving on to number 6.
Number 6, we've seen this so often. I'm reminded of the telesales boot camp that we just did in Indianapolis about 2 months ago. And, we have brand new people in the room. We have some agents that may have been in the business for a little while, some that have come from different organizations with different approaches, and they're now all coming together in this one room. We have about 24 people in there at that one. That one was full. And to see how persistent people are, and if they can maintain their positivity throughout the 2.5, 3 days that we're with them, is amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
Mike Tyson. And so people come into those things with really good plans. And the minute they get the first serious objection or the first derailment, they want to get up, take off their headset, and go over and talk to 3 people about the crazy objection they just got. And then they want to come and debrief with you and get a coffee and grab a donut and think about it some more and then digest it some more and then tell a story about something else that happened to them similar to that. And they don't stay persistent with their focus. They get derailed. They don't stay consistent.
Sometimes they play the blame game.
Yeah. Or they get rolling and they feel like, well, I've called through all my leads once. Okay, now what? Well, I think I'm going to stop now and just start texting them individually because I think that might be a good strategy that works, even though we've never said that. It's not in the training. It's not a part of the process. But they come up with their own ideas of what persistency is because the pain of doing something without an immediate result is too much. And so people try to divert and do something else that feels right, but to them it's not right because they haven't had no success in this. And so staying persistent and staying positive is 1,000% crucial. Maintaining a positive attitude and staying motivated even when facing challenges or rejection is going to separate you from the rest. The person who makes the most dials, the person who has the best demeanor, the person who feels like when they're fading, they get up and go outside for a quick little walk and come back in and sit down and hit it again or grab a coffee and back in and back at it. Those are the people that excel the most.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that because this persistency part really speaks to me because, being relentless in your activity, but really what it is, it's in your self-discipline to do the work.
Yeah.
And when we have these boot camps, it's amazing to see that most of the agents that come to them, they are brand new, but we require them to at least 60 new qualified leads up to 100. 60 to 100 brand new qualified leads, and these boot camps are only 2.25 days long. 2.25 days long of the week.
Of actual on the phone.
Of actually dialing, not including all the training and breakout sessions that we do. So an average, if you think about you as an agent listening to this, how many leads do you buy for the week, for the whole week? And the number's probably less if they're qualified leads. I'm not talking about the, $1, $2 leads that you just buy 400 or whatever, right? I'm talking about qualified leads. And these agents have literally never worked or were that resilient or that persistent working that batch of leads in that 2 days. And if they weren't in that environment, which is so special with other people doing the same thing, they probably wouldn't have done that at home. Mm-hmm. But this is the persistency. This is the activity. This is the positive attitude. This is the go-getter attitude you have to have in order to make it successful. And we're able to set that boundary, push them beyond their limits so they understand, hey, what you did here is what you need to do every time.
Correct.
To be successful.
Yeah, and tracking your actual revenue generating activities, your RGAs during your actual working time is going to be super important to you managing your success because numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. You can feel like you're working all day, but really you say, man, I've been dialing all day. Well, that's not really true. You just took all day to dial instead of actually focusing on the 6 hours or 7 hours of actual focused time that you were going to give it. So there's something to be said there, persistent and positive. All right, Zach, last one. We're coming down to the home stretch. One more.
Number 7 here. This is adapt and learn. And this is absolutely crucial in any profession, anything you do in life, anything you want to become a pro at, but especially in telesales. Adapting and learning is to be open to feedback, to becoming coachable, to be able to adjust your approach, to be able to look back at the script and the sales system and the framework and the relationship, everything else we talked about. and to be open and honest and assess ourselves. I kind of lost it here, or I lost control. He took it there. I fumbled on the pricing, or hey, I got down to the e-app and couldn't log in, and I waited for 20 minutes, messing around and couldn't log in, and I lost the whole sit. There's so many things that happen, but it's okay. We have to understand what the wins are when coming to this. And to be honest, Roger, this is my favorite part about our boot camps, is because we have a software that we're actually able to listen in on everyone's call, not at the same time, but we can select who we want to listen to listen to those tonality, to listen to the pacing, to listen to the connection, to see if they're actually following
to listen to the client objections,
the script, to listen to the objections and how they're being handled, to move through pricing, to ask really good questions. And we are able to literally whisper in to them without the client hearing us, so we can talk on their phone without the client hearing us and give them good questions to ask, or how we can get them to elaborate and pull out more of that need from the client, and really make adjustments on the fly, with also the ability to barge in and speak to the client if we need to help close the situation or to answer some difficult questions. But most importantly is after the sit, to be able to have that one-on-one time to debrief and look through while it's still fresh in our minds, fresh in our hearts, so we know where areas we can get better, what areas we did really well at and we need to continue to follow, and what slight adjustments we need to make on the next one to make that improvement. And with that persistency and that activity that we just spoke about and that positive attitude, we can literally apply these things and 10 seconds later on the next dial, which is really, really special.
I would say coaching and feedback in telesales is paramount. You've got to be plugged into a manager, a mentor, a coach, a community.
Yeah.
One of those four, so that you're getting regular feedback in your specific niche, FE, MP, or IUL telesales, whatever your niche is over the phone. You need to have someone who's actively doing what you're doing, who can actually give you live feedback, who can actually get in there and coach, someone that you're going to respect enough to listen to.
If you don't, how do you get better?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of us come to the table with pre-existing ideas of how it can be done better, and we've never had success. And we may have been successful in one area, in one field of life, and we come over here and we're just going to bring it all over, and then we get slammed in the face. Like,
exactly.
It's not working out. I wonder why it's not working out. Well, right now you're just not listening. You're not coachable. You're just doing it your way. And get in with somebody who can provide coaching and feedback. And if you are willing to have an open and honest view, an honest interrogation of your reality, right? An honest interrogation of your reality, and then be transparent with your coach, you can get that feedback, you can make the adjustments, and you can win. I would say the biggest thing that we get here on the Adapt and Learn, and I want to add this at the end, is to get into a boot camp, get into a lock-in, get into a situation where you're committing to be in an environment for 2 to 3 days where you're actually seeing this live and in person. And this is we have an overwhelming demand. So many people have DM'd us. We've had to reschedule these because of timing conflicts. We've had challenges keeping up with the demand. But I will tell you, Zach, probably one of the most fun things that we do, and I'm always drained. I'm always wiped out after the event's over.
I'm still recovering.
Because when we went, guys, it's all in for 3 days, and it goes wire to wire, 8:30 a.m. in the morning till 8:30 to 9 at night. And then that last night, it goes even later, because typically if it's an on-location one and it's not a virtual one, we're all going out for dinner to eat food somewhere together and to debrief, to give away prizes and recognize, people who had exceptional wins. And it's a fun environment. But man, it's all in for 3 full days. And if you can get in that environment, it will change your perspective. If I had that opportunity to do that when I first started, I can't tell you where I'd be today.
Yeah. The quickest way to lose belief in yourself and in the industry and the idea of telesales is to keep making the mistake over and over again and not knowing what adjustments you need to make.
Well, what starts to happen is after you make that mistake and you get rejected 8, 10, 12 times, you get paralysis. And now you don't want to call the rest of your leads because you have a fear that the rest of them are going to say that thing. So the very thing that you're supposed to lean into and do more of, you're doing less of because you have fear of rejection. It's like in those early days when we were door knocking and you get somebody who got rejected at the door 4 or 5 times, they're pulling up hoping they're not home.
Yep.
They're literally hoping they're not home so they don't have to deal with the rejection or deal with the anxiety of walking up to that door. It's the craziest thing. We psych ourselves out. And so to get in a room where you can be a part of that is a special, special experience. And we've got incredible testimonials from the boot camps.
We just finished one up in Missouri, and there was 3 people in that room that have never opened an e-app, that have never been in the industry, that just got in, and the first bit of training they're having is a telesales boot camp. Like talk about like fire hose, right? Like they didn't even get dripped into it a little bit. It was just full on.
I like that sound effect.
And they all 3 made multiple sales in that situation in those 2 days. Multiple, not just one sale or 0. They made multiple from seeing that belief and that transformation in themselves. It was unbelievable. We had one lady who immediately after she got her first app, I listened to the whole call. We high-fived, celebrated. We talked to debrief. And she immediately called her husband to go tell him that she did it because he's apparently really big into sales and she's never done sales before. And it was just really cool to see that transformation and how far you can come in 2 days and understanding, hey, you just do this the right way over and over again. We got your back. You do this for 2 days. You can do it for 20 days. You can do it for 200 days. That's all it takes. It's really cool.
It's fun because we do these events. Adam, where's the bell, man? Do we have the bell? Let's get the bell. I want to ring that bell. We do at the end of the day, we bring up people and they get to ring the bell, right? When they've had sales, when they've had success. And to see people getting to ring the bell and how excited they are to ring the bell. And if it's at a break period or if it's in an environment where you have some place to actually ring the bell and not totally blow up everybody else who's still on the phone. Yeah. We do it right then and there, man. And people are so excited to ring the dang bell. And so we bring the bell and you get to ring the bell, when you put sales up on the board. We make this a fun environment. Oh yeah. Here's what I can say. We had a brand new agent, newly licensed, was still working 2 jobs and actually was saving up money for his lead investment to transition into the business the week before. It was still working 2 jobs. And the week of our boot camp was his first full day in the business and the day that he quit one of those jobs. And his first full week with us, he did over $6,000 in sales and never done this before. Did it all telesales. He did about $4,000 while we were there and then closed another $2,000 the very next day from the effort that he put in that just carried over and closed the day after we left. Another gentleman wrote over $7,000 in that same boot camp. Like these are environments where you get in, you can see people winning at a high level and you get us coaching in your ears and we help you walk through it. So this is what we're doing. We have a telesales wait list happening. We have so much demand for this. We can't keep up. We've got some dates that we're getting ready to release. And so we're going to drop a link right here. There's going to be a link here, wherever. But I think up here too, there may be a link where you can actually click on it, but also down in the comments, that link will be there for you to join the wait list. Join the wait list. And we're doing a lottery because we can max these out at about 24 at the most. We've done them as low as 16. We've done them as high as 24. We have to give you our attention, our time, our focus. It's a 2.5, 3 day commitment on our part. You will have to travel. You'll have to be in the environment. But once you get there, we take care of everything else. Lunch, dinner, all included. We don't let you out. We feed you while you're there so you can keep working. I mean, we make this an event.
And you make money at it because you still write business.
Yeah. So yes, there's a fee. But yes, you walk out of there making money. And better yet, you walk out of there with the great habits, the techniques, the training, and everything you need to perpetuate that for the rest of your life. So if you're interested in one of these boot camps with us and being in person with us for 3 days, and maybe even doing so well, you get your own spot on the podcast as a special guest or some testimonials for people who've done well in our boot camps, hit that wait list, put your name in there, your information, and we'll get the communication out to you as soon as we have the schedule released, and you'll be the first to know and the first opportunity to register. So we want to hear from you. Zach?
Absolutely. Will we ring the bell?
Yeah, let's ring the
We'll
bell,
ring the
baby.
bell.
Who wants
Let's
to
go.
ring that bell, baby? Who wants to ring that bell? That was so loud.
That
Adam
was
was
super
like,
loud.
yeah, but who wants to ring that bell? Come ring the bell with us and make this a life-changing experience. So there's your top 7 steps to success in telesales. I hope this was as informative for you as it was for our people who did the live workshops with us. Take it, put it into practice, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast.